Hello everyone, and welcome to Darkcraft. Today I will be playing this map by Oscar.mp. The link to the map is in the description. There is a plan to make this a 5-part series, with all 4 maps that have been currently released, and the next one that is on its way. With that, let's get into it. Welcome to Darkcraft Origins Part 1. I woke up in a cabin, not entirely sure who I was or where I was, but I was sure that I was going to find out. I searched in the chest by the bed and found an end crystal named 1, a bucket, and a torch. As I left the room, I noticed that I was in part of a much larger house. And I also found a sword and figured I might need this. I then searched the house, finding a door named Dr. Obsid, and found an award for best engineering inside. Perhaps I was Dr. Obsid. After looking around the office, I realized that my telescope was gone. And then I headed right outside. After thinking about going to work, I decided to just take a stroll, meeting Kate along the way. She told me that Mr. Weatherman wanted to see me, and I followed the path, finding a blacksmith that gave me a stone sword instead of my wooden one. After that, I headed down to Weatherman Labs to meet Dr. Weatherman. The receptionist told me that he was in hallway A, and I got ready to go. After heading down the hallway, I saw a guard who told me to stay away from Dr. Weatherman's locked office, but I decided to go into the test room and talk to him anyways. He was very rude and told me that he wanted to buy all of my inventions and that he might discover them first. I did not like this guy. First impressions, not great. He built a lab in my city, and he was kind of a jerk. I told him maybe, and he told me that there was a mech that he can use to defend this town and gain some new land. Lovely. We've got a tyrant on our hands. I decided to check out the mech, and it didn't look functional yet, but it was a little intimidating. It was about 87% complete, said a sign on the wall, and there were some other strange contraptions in the room. I stole some armor from this corner over here and replaced the armor stand and then talked to his people. One of them seemed brainwashed and the other one seemed very sad. Then I decided to go out to the hallway and I went to find a emergency exit that was right over here, but I didn't want to leave yet. I punched the door to Dr. Weatherman's office, but decided that if I wanted to go in, I would just have to come back later. After checking the chest in the receptionist's room, I decided to go into hallway B. There was a guard that asked me to play on my phone, and some rooms that had nothing. It was so dark in there I couldn't see anything. The other guard said, "Pretty please don't enter, ew," and that bothered me a little, but I went inside anyways. There was a paper with nothing on it, and some fancy, better armor than the stuff I had stolen previously. So I put the armor stand back down after picking it up, and then I put the old armor on the stand because I liked this armor more. After that, I found a bunch of just guards. And I figured that if he had stolen my telescope, it would be in here. So I fought the guards and broke the glass, and then I entered the hallway, realizing that it was really heavily guarded for just a random hallway. So I fought the guards, some of which were coming out of the wall, and I broke open into this staff-only hallway. I then looked through the painting that the guards had been coming out of, but just as I came out, I woke up in my house and ran out, knowing exactly where I had to go. I had to find out what was down that hallway. I ran down the path, got the stone sword, and got back into the Weatherman building, deciding that I didn't care that I had to break open Dr. Weatherman's door. After going inside, I found that there was a key. A key to what, though? There was also something called the WeatherPad model, and I didn't see anything behind his desk. I grabbed the WeatherPad model and read it. It essentially was supposed to be the smartest AI in history, and that it would be incredibly dangerous, and it would be able to protect our village and destroy everything else. I also found an agenda by Dr. Weatherman. In it, it had some pretty boring things, but it said build death machine as well. I went back into the hallway and grabbed the armor again, knowing that I would need it. After returning to the locked door, I realized that I was supposed to use the key there, and I did. I fought all the guards and went to the other side through the painting. I killed the guard that was in the janitor's closet and went inside. After searching around a little bit, I found this way into the vents. And then I crawled around, looking for a way through. I thought that was a close one, as I went through the hallway and found this room full of precious ores. After some searching, I found my telescope, the Obsid telescope. In order to get out, I had to flip this switch and then find the exit. I decided to go out, and I wanted to go to work one last time before I was on the run as a fugitive. So I ran all the way back to my car and went to the office. The only thing of note that I found was this mailbox that had a note from Brian and one from Dr. Weatherman. Dr. Weatherman told me that he wanted to see me in Emerald Village, and that I would regret it if I didn't show up, but I figured that must have been from earlier because I had already gone to see him. Brian said that he gave me some files on research, and that Dr. Weatherman is planning something. So I just decided to go back and find the highway in order to get as far away from Dr. Weatherman as I possibly could. After finding the highway, I ran down it. But I was stopped by a guard. I told him that I had a different name than was actually mine, and he let me through. As I went down the highway, I found a church of some sort. And in the mailbox said, "I love Jeebus and meet me in the back." No one was of much help except for Lucas, who told me that he knew me and that this was the last place that was able to practice religion from Dr. Weatherman's tyranny, and to meet him upstairs. After meeting Lucas upstairs, he gave me a shard of amethyst and sent me on my way, telling me that he cared and that there was a Lord and Savior who wanted me to have this shard. I found a road out back and closed the door, jumping off the roof in order to follow it. It had a weird pun, and it was very weird. But after riding the rails towards this strange building, I fell off. The cart fell off. There was nowhere that this place was leading. So I looked around and I found a little doorway underneath the water. Inside of the doorway was a speaker in which I was told that I was a new guard, and that I could just go up, and that there was a Dr. Moss here. I went up the stairs, and we were off to the races. I found myself in the head that I saw, and then I talked to a couple of people, but some of them weren't very nice. After that, I went into Dr. Moss's study or room or something, and I took his armor because I figured I might need it. I didn't know who this Dr. Moss was, but I wasn't entirely sure that I trusted him. There was also a book that seemed to be some sort of diary. It went over a couple of experiments that this Dr. Moth said, and that there was something important about amethyst. I looked over the balcony and saw such a beautiful sight. There was amethyst covering the mountain, and greenery all over the landscape. I found the testing room in which there were supposedly human experiments and walked in, but the scientists seemed to be doing a test right now. After switching some things around in the testing room, I found a secret stairway. It led me to this room, where there was Dr. Moss's remedy, and I found an end crystal labeled 3. I also saw this thing where it seemed I was supposed to drop into the water, but I decided to look up the chimney to see if there was anything up there first. Not seeing anything, I jumped down. I landed in the gardens and started running around looking to see if there was anything interesting or weird about this place. And eventually, I found it. Dr. Moss told me that there was a great library and that I should press the blue button on the portal in order to go there. But it scared me when I did. I didn't know where I was. There were zombies that I had to fight. I didn't even know how I was supposed to get up there. But I figured it out. After breaking stuff. I ran around the endless library, looking for any way out. I didn't know why I had entered, why I had felt so compelled to do so. But I ran and ran, until I found this room that was different from all the others. There was a portal, a way out, but I ran around in the darkness, searching for a way out of the endless library. I had found 2 redstone torches which I could use in order to light my surroundings, and eventually I found this room. Behind this wall was something. I just didn't know what. I broke the glass and began breaking the iron, knowing that it would take me a while, but to get out of this endless library, it was worth it. After crossing the threshold, I found an unlit portal and I knew what I needed to do. I broke this bookcase and lit up the portal. It was so bright, but I went through it. I did it. I escaped the library. Finally. All I saw outside was a barren wasteland. Fire and brimstone. And I went through the next portal. I found myself in a place called Moss Plains, and I found lots of milk for some reason. There was also a lot of amethyst. After sleeping through the night, I decided to look around, and I also read this book, which was from Dr. Moss that said to lay low for a little bit. Clearly, he was going to be able to help me with surviving? Keeping my village safe? I wasn't sure. I grabbed a diamond sword and left my stone swords behind, searching this watchtower and then going down to meet Dr. Weatherman. He called me an idiot and said that it was a vigilante base of operations that I was in and he needed to know where. After waking up in a cell, I began to look around and sabotage the ship. I was then woken up again and fell asleep again and woke up again in a cell. I looked around and saw a lot of vines and cobwebs. There were also a couple of weapons inside this place. I grabbed some of the armor and I pressed some buttons on the walls and grabbed some diamonds. And then I found my way into Dr. Darwin's office. There were a couple of armors that seemed very powerful, and there wasn't a lot on his desk. Dr. Darwin said that he was going to help me escape, and that I could take one of his suits of armor, the Mark III armor. I decided to take both of the armors just in case. What was he gonna do? Stop me? I flicked the switch on the roof and then found my way to the exit, dropping down and being attacked by a horde of angry monsters. I fought my way through them, but I did not succeed in getting all the way through. I fought to my last breath, hoping that I could reach the end, the escape. I started in Moss's Plains, with all of the things that I had. I knew that they would take away my stuff, so I wanted to smuggle it onto the ship. But it did not come easily. I snuck onto the ship before talking to Dr. Weatherman, and placed all of my belongings in my cell. I then spoke to Dr. Weatherman, and it was gone. I had nothing to fight the monsters at the end now. After escaping, I went back to Dr. Darwin's office hoping that there was more armor, but there wasn't. I grabbed some armor from the side of the room that I was on and headed downstairs. This time, I ran. I ran as fast as I could go, hoping that I would just be able to reach the end, even if I didn't defeat all these monsters. And I did. I thought, what Dr. Weatherman is doing isn't okay. He's forced so many people to do what they don't want to do. I dropped off my gear and set sail. This is the end of Darkcraft Origins Part 1. I appreciate everyone who has supported me, and I hope that everyone has a lovely day. This was an incredible map to play, and please go support Oscar.mp4 on his social medias and whatnot, which I will link everything in the description that I have access to. All the music that I've used in this video will be available on my MCS music playlist as soon as this video releases. That will be the same for all music going forward that I use in my video. So you are welcome to use it at any time. I have not copyrighted, I leave it just for everyone, and I hope I see you in the next video. Please subscribe if you'd like to see more. Bye!